Hello there guys, what is going on? SonOfChelsea back here again for my team selector and preview ahead of tomorrow's game at lunchtime away to Leeds United at Elland Road. I think we're going into sort of a defining 8 days, I think, in Chelsea season. I know we could have been saying that for the last few weeks, but given this game, given especially the two games coming up, the Champions League second leg at home to Atletico on Wednesday and then also Sheffield United in the FA Cup next Sunday. Chelsea have been doing so well under Thomas Tuchel, almost flawless, especially defensively. We've improved so much. And seeing where we are in the league, I think after getting through this difficult period, you not only want to see Chelsea sort of grow from that, especially offensively. I think in the previous two games, we've started to see the attack click a little bit more. And I think there are some key players to talk about in relation to that. But as well, you hope that with these next run of Premier League games, Leeds, I think Brighton, and there's a few other teams, Crystal Palace, West Brom, teams that Chelsea should be putting away in their current form, in any form basically. And you think if we can get to that period, get to the final four games, which are a lot more difficult when we're facing teams like Man City, Leicester and Arsenal, you hope Chelsea are in a really good position in the Premier League. And let's hope we continue this good run under Thomas Tuchel because it's been so good so far. I'm going to get into team news, looking at Leeds United and also my lineup for tomorrow's game. But before we do any of that, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also hit the like button if you're enjoying the content because it helps out the channel as well. My team news notes just haven't been changing in recent weeks. Simply the name of Thiago Silva has been on it week in, week out. We felt like Thiago Silva would be getting close to the starting 11, but Thomas Tuchel, the only injury concern into this game, the only player unavailable for this game is once again Thiago Silva, who suffered a setback in training apparently. It's really annoying, I think frustrating, obviously, for Thiago Silva. He was on the bench against Everton, and I think going into this game, as I was getting ready to do this preview before watching Thomas Tuchel's press conference earlier, I was sort of convinced you could have sort of a debate on for who plays in this game. Thiago Silva, would he come into this game? Do you want to throw Thiago Silva straight back into the intensity of the Atletico game? All the things with Christensen, that back three, Rudiger, Zuma, Dave. But we're not going to have any of that because Thiago Silva is unavailable, and I suspect he won't be available for the game on Wednesday, and I suspect as well he likely wouldn't be thrown back into that game too. So it's a massive game he'll probably be missing on Wednesday. Let's hope he gets back to fitness soon. The other player as well, I just forgot to mention, Tammy Abraham. So Tammy Abraham, for the past few weeks when he hasn't been in the squad, hasn't been playing, I think there's been a lot of debate from myself and other people surrounding his future, and there have been reports surrounding that. But maybe we've been a little bit premature with that because Thomas Tuchel revealing once again today his ankle problem that he picked up against Newcastle still troubling him. So that is the reason why he hasn't been playing, and I think that it's going to continue. There is a concern from Tuchel considering how long this ankle injury is persisting with Tammy Abraham. But I do remember the week he got that injury, it felt like it was going to be longer term, but he recovered quickly, played the game against Southampton, only 45 minutes, and I don't think has played since. So it's been difficult personally for him, and maybe he just is suffering the effects of the injury naturally, but he recovered quicker for this time. It's tough to know really, and let's hope Tammy gets to fitness pretty soon, and then I think once he's back to full fitness we can sort of judge whether Tuchel rates him or not, because at the moment he's injured, so it's hard to tell, isn't it? But going into this game in terms of how Thomas Tuchel approaches it, because Atletico for me is one of Chelsea's biggest games in years. It really is, especially in Europe. It's probably our biggest game in Europe in quite some time. If Chelsea want to progress to the last 8 of the Champions League, how big of a boost that would be for Chelsea this season moving forward, how we could progress in the Champions League. So you're sort of looking at this game, how is Tuchel going to rotate once again? And it's not only in terms of fitness, in terms of looking towards that Wednesday game, but also in terms of personnel that are suitable for this game against Leeds United. I think that's the thing we have to think about when we're going into games now, especially with the size of Thomas Tuchel's squad. As we've seen already, he can make 5 changes from one Premier League game to the next. I think we can't overreact when that happens. I think there's a lot of petty sort of reactions that go on. We have to sort of sometimes try and analyse what the opponent is, what sort of test are they going to bring to us, and what players in our current squad are suitable. Also looking at what Tuchel has done before and succeeded with. So I think that's the way I'm personally now approaching these games a little bit more, and I'm not solely looking at this player has to be in the starting 11, because Tuchel's proven, even if a player plays well, he may take them out for one game, rest them a little bit. We saw that with Mason Mount on Monday night, so the same could happen tomorrow. So I don't think people should be overreacting, and when Thomas Tuchel is getting the right results, you can't really moan either. So his method methods are working at the moment for Chelsea. But let's take a look at Leeds United, a unique opponent, a very unique opponent in the Premier League. Chelsea's highest XG, I think, for a game this season came against Leeds United at home in December in that 3-1 win. It should have been much more than 3-1, especially in front of goal. Chelsea had so many good chances, a recurring theme of this season. Unfortunately, Timo Werner missing a lot of opportunities that day. And sort of the way Bielsa's side line up against you, you think about man marking, the way they set up their system in defence, but also offensively, they press up high. They've got such a ridiculous press, and the intensity of the game, even in December. I think the weird thing about that game in December, and I don't know if it's because as a fan you're emotionally connected, it was very intense. You know, you got to remember Chelsea's third goal came in added time, that Pulisic goal, one of Pulisic's rare strikes this season. And I think that you've got to realise, and when you watch Leeds United, they don't stop for 90 minutes. Unless Chelsea can be really clinical tomorrow, because I do think Chelsea, like most teams, get good opportunities against this Leeds side. They will keep on coming at you. They'll run non-stop. Olivier Giroud, I remember commenting after that Leeds victory where they say they don't stop running. They are so intense. When we look at their form recently, 4 defeats, only 1 win as well in their last 5. They sit 11th in the Premier League. I think that's pretty much expected because you see the amount of goals they score, but the amount of goals they concede, I think it's not that surprising that they're not going to get relegated, but not good enough probably to make it into that top 10 this season. Patrick Bamford, formerly of Chelsea, scored against Chelsea at the Bridge in December, has done so well this season. 13 goals already. I just want to sort of look at this in terms of the way Leeds approach game, the progressive way, the intense way Marcelo Bielsa's team line up and their mentality, because you look at it, 11th, 9 clear of relegation, so there's no threat of that probably. 1-11, lost 14, but they've only drawn 2 games. The only other side in the Premier League currently to draw the same amount of games are bottom club Sheffield United, and I think that shows you the high volume of chances, the risk approach, risk-oriented approach, trying to win the game first, trying to be proactive, not really being as cautious. That's not Bielsa's style, and despite criticism surrounding it, you've got to say Leeds United being 11th in the league, that's a very respectable finish, and maybe they can improve on that next season. But I look at the way they line up, they can sometimes revert to a back three. The way this team is quite fluid, they know where each other are. I think there are, of course, drawbacks, especially on that pitch as well. I do want to bring this up. The Leeds United, the Elland Road pitch currently is terrible. It's probably one of the worst playing surfaces in the current Premier League. Romeo broke his ankle, I think, a week or so ago on it. So it's not conducive to great attacking football, especially the style of play Chelsea are going for at the moment, trying to pass the ball around. It's a lot of possession football. It's a lot of neat play, 1-2s. And you do think on that sort of pitch, is that going to be the best for Chelsea? And how Chelsea will deal with that on a day, is that going to disrupt their rhythm? You hope, of course, with the players and the talent we have and the way we can exploit this Leeds side, we can get around that. But I just think in conducive to a great total football game, I think that could maybe limit it tomorrow given the quality of the playing surface as well. I think the way Calvin Phillips creates from deep, I think the way he's adapted to the Premier League this season has been really impressive as a deep line playmaker in Bielsa's system, and it'd be interesting to see how his future goes, because of course he can play for England at the Euros, and I'm sure there'll be some big clubs going in for him in the future. He's got a bright future in the game, I personally think. Luke Ayling and Stuart Dallas, the way those two fullbacks really do push up the pitch, which has, benefits and negatives to it. I think the thing you can see from Leeds United this season is there is lots of space to exploit. When they come up against good attacking sides, some of the best sides in this league, they can be exploited pretty easily. They've had some decent wins, some decent results. They got a draw against Man City earlier in the season. They beat Leicester away from home in a really, really good win. But in the other sense, we look at conceding 6 goals to Man United in December. We look at conceding 4 goals to Arsenal recently. I think there is a sense this team can concede lots of goals, and when it sort of goes wrong, it goes really wrong, and that's the hope for Chelsea tomorrow, of being able to exploit that and score a lot of goals. We haven't scored more than 2 goals under Thomas Tuchel so far in a single game, and hopefully that may change tomorrow if Chelsea have their shooting boots on in front of goal. But going into my team, and there may be some surprises in here, I think it's once again difficult to predict accurately Thomas Tuchel starting 11. I think there are some consistent players we've seen, especially more in the defensive area of the pitch for Thomas Tuchel, that he's relying on week in, week out now, and not really rotating that radically game in, game out. So as you can see, obviously Edouard Mendy in goal, another clean sheet for him on Monday night, a really competent performance once again. Didn't have to do a lot, and that defence is really helping him. The back three, I'm going to stick with the same back three that started against Everton on Monday. Dave Christensen and Kurt Zouma. The reason I'm going for Zouma is set pieces. Chelsea on set pieces, I I think should be doing a lot more, especially when you've got Mason and Zuma on the pitch. We scored from a set piece from a Mason corner and Zuma heading it in. We almost scored, if I remember rightly, against Leeds, and I think probably why we had the XG was so high. We created so much from corners. Leeds really struggled to defend at set pieces, and I think this should be an area Chelsea are trying to exploit tomorrow, and I don't think there's a better presence, especially from defence, than Kurt Zuma with a header. And I think Zuma acquitted himself so well on the left side of that back three on Monday. Rudiger, you could say Rudiger's been performing well. He had a really good performance against Liverpool the last time he played for Chelsea, and there could be an argument, especially against this side, passing from deep. I think Rudiger is the better passer and has been performing well competently in that back three for Chelsea. So I think either of these two players, I'm just going to edge Kurt Zuma here for the set pieces, and I think actually Rudiger may come in for the Atletico Madrid game, and it may be the same back three we saw against Atletico in the first leg. But that's why I'm playing Kurt Zuma instead of Rudiger. I just think for Chilwell, the type of game this is, need more speed and recovery with the high press and runs of Ayling and Costa on that side. I think Chilwell deals with it a lot more. I think Chilwell is much more alert, has that acceleration going both ways that Marcos Alonso just doesn't for me. I think we saw against Liverpool and Man United Chilwell's ability to deal with that pretty competently as a left wing back, so I think Chilwell will come back into the side for me. Mount and Jorginho are both suspended for the Atletico Madrid game, so I think both will start this game too. It's not just about, I think, what obviously both players can offer and have been really strong for Thomas Tuchel so far, but I think both of these players not being available for Wednesday, I think guarantees I think they'll be starting this game. I'd be a little bit shocked if they don't feature at all in the starting 11 tomorrow. Jorginho passes over the top, so important against the high press, as we saw against Liverpool. Those passes from deep against a defensive line like Leeds, I think is so important, and both Kante and Jorginho did that against Liverpool. Of course, Jorginho for the Timo Werner ruled out goal, and N'Golo Kante putting Mason Mount through. And then we go further up the pitch, so Mason Mount playing on the right or left side, I'm not entirely sure, given how Timo Werner is positioned. It's really harsh on Callum Hudson-Odoi, but once again, as I said at the start of this video, Callum played really well, had a great influence on Monday, but Tuchel was going to rotate players in and out here, and I just think it's very hard not to play Timo Werner in this game, because I think this is a game made for Timo Werner. As we saw against Leeds in December, despite him not finishing those chances, I just think the threat he gives you in behind, I think it's too great to pass up. I think that it's very hard to drop a player like Timo Werner for a game like this. Yes, Callum can bring that as well, but I just think the devastating speed of Timo Werner, and I think the way Leeds defend, I just think it's the perfect time to bring Timo Werner and play Timo Werner in a game like this. I think his finishing does need to improve, absolutely, but I just think it'd be a little bit strange to me, given the personnel for a game of this nature. I think you'd want Werner playing. I think you want a really rapid front three, and I think Werner absolutely brings that on the left or the right. And Kai Havertz, once again, as the false nine. Tuchel was speaking about Havertz in his press conference earlier, speaking about where he sees Kai Havertz. He was sort of speaking about not really a 9, but not really a 10, a false 9, basically, and sort of saying how he wants him high up the pitch. He doesn't want him behind the ball, which I think says a lot about the way, say, Frank Lampard played him earlier in the season, and where you can get the best out of Kai Havertz. He was absolutely wonderful on Monday. If he can replicate that performance, he's going to have a lot more space and time, I think, tomorrow to really influence the game, especially dropping deeper. I think what you may see tomorrow is the way the movement of Kai Havertz, how intelligent he is. I think he'll be dropping a lot deeper tomorrow to try and thread maybe passes through to Timo Werner to maybe attract defenders away from Timo Werner or Mason Mount. If Mount's playing, I think Mount should be playing as well. It was so interesting seeing how Kai operated on Monday, because you saw the mobility of this player, you saw the versatility of this player as well to move in and out of position. And I think, as I've said already, that I think Tuchel with a false 9 at Chelsea looks a lot more fluid to me, and I think Kai's performance was so good on Monday, it'd be really harsh to drop him for this game. And I think Tuchel will see that, see how well the attack played on Monday, and I think Kai will be playing once again. And he hasn't been playing tons of games recently, so there isn't an excuse to take him out for fitness. He looked really sharp on Monday. But that is my team for the game tomorrow. Let me know yours in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this preview. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.